Hey guys, have a cool set of activities for you today. 3 of them to be exact. I'm going to show you how to use some of the transformation features we've used in the past. I'm also going to introduce the warp feature, which is pretty cool. You'll like that. We're going to bring in some masking, some blending with brushes, and some other skill sets to help you out here. So go ahead and let's go ahead and open up Photoshop. And I want to open up a couple of files. So I'm going to go to File, Open. And the first thing I want to open is the wall right there. And I'm going to hold Command so I can make non-adjacent selections, which means not next to each other. So I'm going to hold Command and select, we'll go Graffiti 1 right there, Graffiti 1. So those two, hit Open. Alright, so I have this image right here. It looks like somebody's a Darth Vader fan. You got Darth Vader, lightsaber. Looks like the Death Star. And on the other file, I have a wall. So what we're going to do here is we're going to use Vanishing Point like we were in the previous tutorial to create a vanishing point here. We're going to paste the graffiti inside, and then we're going to take a few more steps to kind of blend it in. But before we get started, you'll see there's a copyright notice down here, and we're going to use our clone stamp tool to get rid of that. That works much in the same way as the patch tool. So let me show you how it works. So if you look on your tool panel, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, the little stamp right there, you hold it down, you'll see there's a clone stamp tool and a pattern stamp tool. We want the first option, clone stamp. And the way this works, it will sample an area it's going to copy, and then when you stamp over what you want to replace, it will replace it with those pixels. So just like the spot healing brush or the healing brush tool, it works the same. So let's go ahead and we're going to hold the Option key with our left hand. So hold the Option key and sample an area from the asphalt right here you want to use. So I'm going to go over here, and it samples that area, and now if I drag it across the text right there, it gets rid of what's there. So similar to what we've used in the past. So the issue I have here is I have a repeating pattern. Okay, so that's not realistic. So I'm going to go back after the fact and sample a different area, and let me adjust the size of this clone stamp as well, because that's one of the tricks you can use is vary the size of your clone stamp. So I'm going to size this down just a little bit. And then I'm going to go over here and hold the Option key with my left hand, sample, and now I'm going to go get rid of those spots right there. Now you can see it's putting different colors in there. So let me adjust my opacity just a little bit, and that gives me a little more freedom to make this look more realistic. So I can go in there and start to make it blend a little bit more, right? All right, so I've got that. You can always go back and adjust your opacity so things don't look so unrealistic. All right, so I'm going in there fixing that. Then I run up into this piece of concrete, okay? So the parking stop or whatever they call them. I'm going to get my clone stamp again, so I'm holding the Option key, and I'm going to sample on top of that right there. And that's going to put that gray on my clone stamp. The problem is I was too close to the A when I sampled. So let me go back, hold the Option key. I'm going to go up here this time, but it's going to be too close to that. So let me go in the middle, and I'm going to bump my opacity up because I don't want to spend all my time fixing this. So I'm going to do that the best I can. You see I got a little too close to the asphalt that's putting out there, so let me size this down a little bit more and go back in there, sample from there, and hopefully it's going to allow me to fix it a little bit better now. All right, so I'm getting that issue right there. Size it down even more. And there, I'm fixing it as I go. So I'm a little bit at a time. And good enough. It looks a little sloppy in there, but I don't want to take too much time here. You could go spend all day with this if you want. You could actually go ahead and copy what's there and put it there. So let me see if I can do that, because I don't like what I've achieved. So let me try this. I'm going to copy what's there. So let's use something called the polygonal lasso tool. So I'm going to unlock the layer right there. Polygonal lasso allows you to make straight line selections, and we're going to use that in other activities today as well. Third button down, 1, 2, 3, hold it down, polygonal lasso tool, make sure you have your add to button. And all I'm gonna do is go and trace the silhouette or the outside of this parking stop. So I'm gonna go there, there, down, yeah, let me get over. All right, so it's made a selection. I don't like that selection, so let me start again. Let me zoom in just a little bit more. And get this way a little bit. That's better. All right, so I have a selection there. It's on this background layer. So let me go to Layer, New, and we're going to go to Layer via Copy. So go to Layer via Copy right there. That created a copy of this selection, okay? So now you have a second one. All right, let's go ahead and let's see if we can resize this and get this to replace what's there, okay? All right, so we got it like that. We're gonna have to use some of our other transform features. So let me go to Edit, Transform, and it's either going to be Skew or Distort. I'm not sure which one's gonna work the best for us. Skew will give me that. Notice that each one of these does something a little different for you. Let me see what it looks like as I zoom out. Okay, it looks a little too big. Let me see if rotation will work at this point. So Edit, Transform. Let me try to rotate it, and rotation is going to be there. Let me go -1.5 and see what that gives me. So that gave me a little bit. Hit Commit. Let's go Edit, Transform. Let's go. Let me try Distort. Okay, so this is what we're going to have to use right there. Okay, so that allows us to distort it a little bit, and I'm probably going to have to rotate it slightly one more time. So Transform, Edits, Transform. Sorry about this, guys. I wasn't planning to do this. Just slightly, guys. Just slightly. All right, so we have that. Now we got to go ahead and get rid of the words right there. So grab your clone stamp one more time, which is that one. Let's sample the sidewalk. So I'm going to make this a little bit larger. Hold my Option key and get rid of. I got to go to the correct layer. 96. I've got a sample from the correct layer as well. Okay. So now I'm using the clone stamp to just get rid of that stuff. And I'm good to go. Okay, good enough, because that's not going to be our focal point. We just fixed that, got rid of the copyright. Now you could have spent a lot more time to make it better, but it's fine. Let's go ahead and draw our, actually let's copy our graffiti. So just like yesterday, we need to copy what we want to use. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make a selection here. Rectangular marquee tool, second button down, no feather. I'm going from top left to bottom right, just getting the art on the wall right there. I don't want the other stuff. And I'm going to hit Command and C to copy. That's now on our clipboard. I'm going back to my wall right here, and I'm going to create vanishing point. So filter on the menu bar, I'm going to vanishing point halfway down. And I'm going to draw my plane, okay? This is my plane tool, new plane tool, so I'm going there. There, all the way back here, up, and when you have the blue checkerboard pattern, it means you have a good plane to use. I'm going to bring this one in just a little bit. There you go. I brought the bottom right corner in just a little bit. I'm going to hit Command and V to paste this in, and now I'm going to take it into my vanishing point, and I'm going to stretch it out with my Transform Control tool right there. So I have Transform Control. I'm going to bring this down just a little bit. And that's too much, so I think I might repeat this pattern slightly. Let me see if I can bring this plane in a little bit, and will let me after the fact. All right, so I have that. I have it to that point. Let me hit Command and V one more time to bring a second copy of this in. I'm gonna take it down in my vanishing point and just step and repeat this pattern and hit OK. Okay, so right now I've created this line of artwork in the vanishing point, okay? And from my perspective, I can't see where the line is right there. So I'm not gonna have to spend much time blending this. But what I wanna do is obviously to change the, I don't want the knucklehead. Let me go back, sorry guys. Let me go back. All right, I forgot. Redo clone stamp. So I got rid of the stuff. All right, I stepped back in time. I'm sorry for the error there, guys, because I realized I didn't add a layer here. So let me add a layer because I'm going to need to use my blend modes, much like we did this last tutorial. So I've got my new layer. Now I'm going to draw my vanishing point. So let me make sure this is copied to my clipboard, Command and C. Going back to the wall, drawing my vanishing point. So filter, vanishing point. I'm going there. I'm going down here. I'm going, oops. I'm zooming out just a little bit so I can see what I got. I'm going there, I'm going up. And anytime you see that red line, try moving a corner handle until you get the blue checkerboard pattern. And then we're gonna hit Command and V to paste our artwork on our canvas here and bring this into your vanishing point. I'm going to take it about there, and we're going to hit Command and V one more time. Bring a second copy in. Let's take it down there. It repeats itself. You shouldn't see in the display here where it repeats itself the line, so you're good. All right, so now let's adjust our blend mode. So let's go up there and pick one that you like. I think I'm going to go, I forgot which one I was using just a second ago when I was practicing this, but was it soft light or overlay? I'm gonna go with overlay today. So let's go overlay, and the last thing I wanna do is kind of soften up the edges, because realistically, if you're trying to put graffiti on a wall, it'd be very, very difficult to get these straight lines right there. So let me add a mask. So I have my mask, I have black as on my foreground. Let me grab my brush, and what I'm gonna do is just try to soften these edges up a little bit, okay? So my opacity says 78 right there, that's fine. And all I'm trying to do is to make sure I'm not seeing a straight line along the edges there, okay? All right, so that makes it a little more realistic to me, at least. And this is what I'm left with. So graffiti on a wall, so let's save that as, it's a file, save as, just call it wall with graffiti. I think that's how you spell it, Graffiti. And you're going to put that inside the folder you created during the last tutorial. It should be called image manipulation. All right, and there you go. So that's wall, the first wall with graffiti. Let's go ahead and close this file. I'm going to close this other file, and I'm going to open the building. So go to open. And we're going to open, let me go to the desktop, go to the correct folder. And it should be building. And let's go with graffiti, what did we just put in? Let's go with graffiti 2. So I'm going to hold the command, or the command key in graffiti 2. It allows me to make non-adjacent selections, and I hit open. All right, so I'm left with this graffiti. I think this is going to be large enough for this building. I've used other ones in the past, but today I'm going to use this. So I've got that graffiti right there. I'm going to place it on this building right here, and then within the mask, I'm going to have apply a mask, and then in the mask, I'm going to paint away the graffiti where it's covering the windows, because I want the windows to show. All right, so let's unlock this background, and let's go ahead and go ahead and bring this over. So I'm going to move this graffiti over, and it's plenty big, right? So I might need to transform this down just a little bit. Let's not do it that way. Let's not do it that way. I apologize, guys. I did it that way when I was practicing this about 20 minutes ago, but I want to try something different. All right, so I'm going to go here. Let me just size this down just a little bit, and if you distort it, that's fine. So I made it that size. Go ahead and just like we did before, let's copy this to our clipboard. So make your selection with the rectangular marquee tool right there. So go ahead and make a selection. And I'm going to select this area right here. I like the colorful part. So Command and C to copy it to our clipboard. Then I'm going back here. All right, and let's use Vanishing Point again, and then we'll go back, apply a mask, and then make our manipulation at that point. So let's go ahead and filter on the menu bar, Vanishing Point. I'm going right along the edge of this roof right there, or the top edge. I don't know what you call that. The area up there, it might be the sill, or I'm not too sure. All right, so I'm creating a vanishing point. So this has to be straight lines like that to create that plane. And now I'm gonna hit Command and V to paste my graffiti in there and put it inside the building. Now I'm gonna find a corner handle to size this down just a little bit. And then size this over, okay? So that's what I'm left with my graffiti, and I'm gonna hit OK. All right, so I have graffiti on the side of the building. I utilized the vanishing point to follow the roof line and the vanishing point itself. Now, what I'm left with is some unrealistic areas. So let's go ahead and add man, I did it again. Let's go back in time, Command Z. All right, before we draw our vanishing point, we need to add a layer. All right, so second layer, because you can't use a blend mode unless you have more than one layer. All right, so now let me go back and do my vanishing points. So filter, vanishing point. I'm going in there, it's there, there, about there, and looks pretty good there. I have my plane, Command and V to paste it, pull it inside that there, and let me get my transform tool to scale this down. Scale it down a little bit more. Okay, so I'm left with that right there. Hit OK. All right, that's better because it's on its own layer, and now I can use various blend modes, right? So which one do you like? You choose which one you like. I like colorful. Which one's the most colorful? Let's go dissolve. I like dissolve. So I'm going to go with dissolve. And in order to see where I need to mask away pixels, let me drop my opacity. Let's see if 50% will work, or right about. I might have to go lower. All right, so I'm just below 38, and I'm going to use this right here. I'm going to add a mask, because on this mask I'm getting my brush, and I'm going to paint away where the grass is and where this block wall is. So I'm going to go ahead and take this up to hard round brush, and I'm getting rid of where the grass is, because I don't want that to be covered up with graffiti. And let me size this down just a little bit. I can do the same thing along this fence post. And I'm going to, through here, it's going to be a little trickier. I'm going to have to make a decision if I want to soften the brush, or let me try opacity of about 19%, just in this area right there. Okay, that's good. All right, so I can go back later and make the decision I want to go with there as far as how much graffiti I want. But let me take this up to 100% so I can see what it looks like across the ground. So it did all right. I don't like what it's done right there in the fence post, so let me pop this up just a little bit. Paint that fence post back. I was trying to do it with an opacity setting too low. Flip my color around, bring the white back here. And you guys can actually, we'll probably go back with a softer brush and a little larger size to go along the edges. Wrong color. Softer brush, reduced opacity to go along the edges right there. Okay. I don't know why it jumped in so far. Okay, so we can touch that up in a bit. And that right there, I don't like what it's doing right there. No worries with that now. All right, so on my mask, I'm gonna hide what's there. I'm gonna select the building itself because what I'm gonna use are all the rectangular windows to create selections, which I'm gonna dump black paint in those selections on the mask. So Command and plus, I'm gonna go, that's my first window I'm gonna use. So I'm gonna use the polygonal lasso tool, 1, 2, 3, third button down. Make sure there's no feather, and the only thing you're gonna do here is make straight line selections like this. And if they're not perfect, don't worry about it. So there's one selection. Make sure your add to button is chosen. So now you can make a second selection. And a third selection. I'm making straight line selections here, folks. I mean, I guess you could go back with a paintbrush and freehand these freehand these areas, but I like this method better. It's easier to do straight lines. And I'll go down here and just do these while I'm at it. And as you can see, I'm rushing through this, so it's not going to be perfect, but it'll be fine for our purposes. I didn't realize there's so many windows on this building when I picked this file, but oh well, it's good practice. All right, so I'm at this point with all my square, let me do these down here as well, just get it out of the way. Good now. All right, so those are my selections there. I'm gonna go back with these just with the paintbrush. So now I'm going back, I'm showing this layer. I'm going to my layer mask that's on the graffiti layer. I have black as my foreground. I'm getting my paint bucket and I'm dumping the paint inside of one of those windows, and it's going to hide all the pixels on the mask in those locations, okay? Makes sense? So now I'm gonna hit delete, and after doing that, I really don't like the result of this blend mode, so I'm going back here. I'm going to use something different. It's not showing the detail of the building I want to see. Let me just go with exclusion there. It's giving me fairly good detail. All right, so I do have the windows that are showing through. Now let's go ahead and on our mask with our paintbrush, let's just freehand what's in the windows. So let's take that down in size to a size you feel comfortable with. And I'm just gonna go 100% of my opacity, black on the brush. And I'm going in there and I'm painting so I can see where the windows are, okay? This is on the mask, guys, so make sure the mask is the item selected on the layer panel. And as you go further down the line, you're going to have to reduce your brush size so it works like it should. All right, so you're just freehanding these and get it as good as you, oops, Command Z, undo it. And if you need to go back, you can undo what you did with Command Z, or you can put black or white on your paintbrush to paint pixels back. That's a good thing about a mask. So that's about as good as I'm going to do there. I'm going to hit Command and minus, and I have graffiti on the side of my building, and I'm going to be looking closely at your mask to make sure you did it correctly. All right, so you're going to save that as building with graffiti. So File, Save As. And we're going to put it in the correct folder, so make sure it's going to the desktop. Those of you that are losing stuff because you are saving stuff different places, I'm not going to feel bad if you can't find it. So building with graffiti. Graffiti. There we go. Hit save, and we're good. All right, last thing I want you to do is open a picture of a skate park, and we're going to import. Save. All right, so I want you to open the picture of the skate park right there. So you should have that downloaded from Schoology. And what we're going to do here is we are going to apply graffiti within the skate park, and we're going to use the warp tool to create the curvature and adjustments to our graffiti to make it appear like it is bending with the shapes within the skate park. So go ahead, and before we do anything, because I've forgotten so many times, let's add a layer, because we're going to add our graffiti to a new layer so we can blend it. All right, so let's just go ahead and place our graffiti. So File, let's go to Place Embedded. And we're going to go to the folder you have all the images, and I'm going to go graffiti. I went and chose some myself, so I'm going to put this in the, I'm going to zoom in one time, maybe twice. All right, so I want this to go back there. So I'm going to take this picture right there. I'm going to size it up before it's placed, and I'm going to hit OK. Okay. So now I have this picture. I realize there is a picture of a building behind it. I don't want that. So let's go ahead, rasterize this layer, because it came in as a smart object and we can't use selections on it, selection techniques. So right click it, choose rasterize layer. You'll see it converts it to a normal bitmap image. And now we can use our rectangular marquee on it, tool on it, and we'll select this area right there. Once that's selected, simply hit your mask button, and it masks away the building because we don't want that. All right, so we're going to warp this image so it blends into what's there. But before we do, let's bump our opacity down so we can see what we're working with. So that's kind of the shape of the, let me bump it back up. I'm going to adjust the blend mode first. Let's go either screen. Let me try screen at 100%. All right, so let me try screen at 100%, and I'm going to try to mimic the shape of the curvature of the skate park that's there. So we're going to use transform. So the way you get to transform, and I need to select my original thumbnail icon right there. Go to Edit on the menu bar. Halfway down is Transform, and let's choose Warp. Warp. So Edit, Transform, and Warp. All right, so warp, if you grab the sizing handle, you can warp your image, okay, to mimic the pool. So first thing I'm going to do, kind of pull it out a little bit at the top, because I'll go back and on the mask later and paint away the edges, all right? So we can warp that just a little bit. Let me bring this up just a little bit as well on these top anchor points. Now, hold the Option key on the keyboard with your left hand. So the Option key on the keyboard with your left hand, and then click right about in this area on the mouse. What that does is puts an additional anchor point that you can now warp and bend from that point. So we put one right about there on the C. Let's go over here and put one. So I'm holding Option, click, and now I can warp this just a little bit. I can do the same thing on the bottom with the bottom points that are already there, but we want to kind of follow that pattern. And Option, let me put one in the middle and kind of push it up. And you kind of have full control where you can place these warp points to make this appear like it's filling in the curvature right there. All right, so that's pretty good. I like the way that looks. On my mask, let me select my mask with a black on my brush, and let me adjust the size, because now I'm going to get rid of these edges, because the edges always give away that it's not, doesn't look real, right? So if I'm painting those edges away, and I'm going fast here, so it may not be as realistic as it could, and if I zoom out, you can see it almost appears like the graffiti goes with the skate park. And we can also adjust our opacity a little bit to give more detail from what is there. All right, so you can adjust your opacity. You can also adjust your blend mode to whatever you want, okay? All right, I'm gonna leave mine on screen with opacity of 65. All right, so that's my first graffiti I brought in. I'm gonna bring some graffiti right in here, so let me go to File, Place Embedded. And that was graffiti choice, let's try graffiti choice 1 I had. I'm gonna bring that right here. Now, I'm going to apply perspective to this before I warp it. All right, so the way I do that, same way as I got to warp, so go to Edit on the menu bar, go to Transform, choose Perspective, and we can apply perspective to this, similar to how we did Vanishing Point. So that, and then I'm going to rotate it just a little bit, so Transform, Rotate, and bring this up to how I want it. Don't get too carried away because we are, now let me rotate it just a little bit more. I like that. All right, so we have it right there. Let's go ahead and let's get our warp tool. So Edit, Transform, Warp, and I'm gonna warp this thing up to try to match what's there. And remember, let's use the Option key on the keyboard with your left hand. Let's put some anchor points, or warp points, whatever they call them. I'll call them warp points. I'm probably giving them the incorrect name, but I'm showing you how they work. So I think that's more important than having every technical name perfect. Okay. All right, so we have that. Let's probably have to go up, down here just to make it look a little more realistic. And let me adjust hit my commit, adjust my blend mode to, what did I go with the other one? Was it screen or lighten? What did I use? Let me go check. I used screen, so let me use screen on this one as well. Doesn't look good with that color. Let me try a different blend mode. Let me go overlay and let me bump the opacity down. Okay, so that looks, let me bump it down even more. I like that one better, darken color. All right, so let me do that. Let me bump the opacity up just a little bit. And now let's add a mask. So add a mask to that one. And on your mask with your brush, let's bump this down to probably 70%, 75%. Let's get rid of these edges just a little bit, so there's no defined edge right there. Especially that side. Okay. That looks better, looks like graffiti on there. I gotta clean up this top edge as well. All right, so that looks good there. Let's bring in one more and then we'll be done with this activity. So File, let's go to Place Embedded. And which one do we wanna use? Let's try Graffiti 3, I don't remember what it is, that's fine. Let's bring that in. And let's put it on this wall over here. So I'll go bring that down. Right about there. Okay. All right, so let's hit commit. Let's bump the opacity down just a little bit. And let's change our blend mode to something else. Screen lighten. Let's go lighten and let's take the opacity up. Too much. All right, so lighten, opacity's up. Let me zoom in a couple times. Command plus. All right, so we have that. Let's go ahead and warp this thing just a little bit. So Edit, Transform, Warp. And let's bring this down. Option on the keyboard, I'll set some points in here. I'm just setting points and I'm going to go after the fact 10. Just want to bring it this way a little bit. Okay, that looks good. Now we have that. Let's go ahead and add a mask, please. So add your mask, get your brush, and let's paint away the edges of this. So I'm taking my opacity up to 100% to get rid of what I don't want right there. And you can see I'm kind of going in a hurry right now. Along this edge, I'm going to have to soften this brush quite a bit, so that'll blend it with what's already there. Okay. All right, let me bump my opacity up just slightly, see if it looks better. I like that. And let me zoom out. All right, so we have additional graffiti right there. So we have, that looks good. I'm not sure about the blend mode there. I'm gonna leave it alone, but that's what I wanted you to achieve. That's what I wanted you to learn with the warp tool, some of the transform features, and obviously the blend modes. So go ahead and save this as skate park with graffiti. So file, save as, and put in the correct location, guys, so you can find it. All right, so skate park with graffiti. And hit save. All right, that's it. You're done. Hope you had fun. Take care.